Waiting, waiting. What is he going to be wearing? What will he be wearing? Hey, Jesse.
Oi.
Yeah,
How's
you
it
want to
going?
be on the right side.
Let me turn this up a little bit.
Yes, look at that hair. We both have the hair flip happening.
I got the long hair and I'm growing the Corona beard. It's the first and last time I will probably ever have it. It's coming in thick.
It is. You give
and
good beard.
What's that?
You give good beard.
Oh my God, if I don't shave this, it's going to grow up over my forehead. I'm just going to be all hair face. Incredible.
I love that.
Yeah, it's, we got the baby coming in 2.5 weeks, and Michelle said, there's no way I'm allowed to have a beard for the first baby picture, so I have 2 more weeks of growing, and then we're going to do some pork chop sideburns. We're going to do the whole thing, get rid of it. And then, I mean, what else are you supposed to do, during these times?
You're supposed to do one of those videos where when you shave it, you're like, here I have chops, here I have a goatee, here I have 100%. A mustache.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And you obviously dressed up. I love that about you. You are always so dapper whenever I see you. What suit are you wearing today? Who are you wearing, Jesse?
I am currently wearing one of my first custom-made suits. The company's no longer around. I get all of my suits made by Davidson Foray out of New York now. I am doing the Corona business on the top, party on the bottom. I got the same sweatpants on that I've been wearing for the last 3 weeks. Washed, of course, but yeah, we have ASRV sweatpants on the bottom.
Well, stand up, show us, give us a twirl.
We got a little, you can't even see it. I'm too close to the camera. Sorry.
Oh, Jesse, I love you so much. I was just telling them you've been a part of my career in real estate for so long. I feel like we always are in each other's orbits. You're with Hilton and Hyland, the #1 boutique brokerage. Yeah. And I was talking about this book I'm reading on real estate, and Enchanted Hill, one of the properties that you and Jeff Hyland and Michelle are on, is actually in this book. And that's what we're going to talk about first. I want you to tell us, that's my setup. I want you to tell us a little bit about Enchanted Hill. Here we
are. Sure. Enchanted Hill is also in Jeff Hyland's book, The Great Estates of Beverly Hills. I was referred to this property by a friend in New York, a fellow real estate agent. We put together a team. Jeff had sold the property to Paul Allen back in '97. Paul acquired a couple of different parcels, and it's 121 acres in Beverly Hills. Literally looks down over Bel Air Road. It looks down over the ocean. It looks down over Beverly Hills. It looks down over downtown LA. 360-degree views. There are 2 entrances. One at Benedict Canyon that takes you on a mile-long drive past 5 different building sites that are all graded flat, through a tunnel that Paul actually built through the mountain, and then it gets you to this 4-acre site where the original estate was, Enchanted Hill. Greta Garbo gave that name to the property. And the interesting thing about this is there's also an entrance for the main building site at Angelo Drive. Angelo Drive is one of the best streets in Beverly Hills, starting right behind the Beverly Hills Hotel on Benedict Canyon, going past David Geffen's giant estate, the Jack Warner estate, winding through the hill, past a ton of celebrity homes, the Pritzker House, then up to Enchanted Hill. So it's a fantastic property. We were promoting it as a single family development site, but I went off on my own a little bit and tried to do some research on whether or not you could develop a modern home gated community, which is a missing piece of LA real estate. A lot of the communities around here, as you know, are Mediterranean influence, Spanish influence, and we had a lot of clients, celebrity musicians, actors, producers that wanted a modern home in a gated community for security. So I did a little research on doing, smaller, modern homes in there. So that's another possibility. It's also zoned equestrian, so you could do an equestrian gated community similar to Hidden Hills. So it's an unbelievable opportunity. If you haven't seen it, call me. We'll go up there and check it out. We're asking $110 million. for the land. And like I said, it's flat building sites. You could make more, and it's about 7 acres flat, ready.
It was in the headlines recently because it was rumored that, and not confirmed, I don't know what you can say, but it was rumored that Jeff Bezos was looking at the property and had purchased the property and then went out of the property. So what do you think about land in LA? Is it, because before this whole thing hit, land was a valuable asset, and we had Enchanted Hill and we had the mountain, we had these big plots that we were waiting for one lucky billionaire to come and buy or someone to develop. Do you think after this is all over, we're going to see those land sales come out at higher prices or reduced prices?
Listen, if I had a magic ball and could tell you what's going to happen when we come out of this, I would be so wealthy when we came out of this.
Yes.
The only thing I can tell you is, there's no fundamental financial issue happening right now. This was a virus, a pandemic that took over the world. And, there are signs that when we get through this, the market could explode. I mean, I've been putting money into the market. A lot of people have. In terms of real estate, the biggest issue we're going to have coming out of this is the value seekers, the people who think that because this just happened, we're going to see this like price reduction and major sell-offs and stuff like that. And I don't know if it's gonna happen because there are so many people with money, and LA is an interesting market where some of the most wealthy people in the world, including the most wealthy Americans, young entrepreneurs, they're all living here, and it's a primary residence or it's a vacation residence. It's not like New York where they have a Hamptons house and maybe a Vineyard house and maybe a Jersey house or New York State house. Most people, they have a view of the ocean. They're 15, 20 minutes, an hour and a half to the ocean, depending on traffic. Maybe they'll have a beach house in Malibu, but for the most part, it's their primary residence. So, there's a lot of people with money. There's a lot of developers that aren't leveraged that can hold on to these things and get what they want.
I think people are going to be so stir crazy. People who live in bigger cities or don't love their house are going to be so stir crazy to get out and change their environment and buy a different place or just move from New York, move from San Francisco. I actually think we'll see an influx. But let's talk sales and listings, because I want to get right to your listings that you have. There is one on 1740 Bel Air Road, which is 22.9 million.
Yeah.
Let me pull up the photo here. This is not it. This is it. $22.9 million. How long has this been on the market?
We went on the market at the beginning of the year. Everything's obviously on pause right now. The property I sold about 4 years ago, it's 11,000 square feet on 3 levels. You can see obviously the main level at the bottom there, all the bedrooms on the top, and the bottom level, you can kind of see in the left corner, bottom level has an amazing wine room, some staff quarters, and an incredible speakeasy. There's the main staircase down past the wine room, and then to an incredible speakeasy that they actually did. There it is right there. They did that after they moved in. They spent a fortune, surround sound, the whole thing. Amazing bars. 5 bedroom plus 2 staff. All the bedrooms are on the upper level. And the interesting thing about this property, speaking of Enchanted Hill, as you walk through the front door, basically this drone view right here is from Enchanted Hill, looking down on Bel Air Road. So when you turn it around and you look from the property at Enchanted Hill, the whole backside of Enchanted Hill, really the unbuildable downslope of Enchanted Hill, is all right there. So you're looking out at the most amazing sunrise over a property that once the main house or the multiple houses are built, you're never going to see them because they're kind of on the other side. So you're going to have an amazing sunrise Santa Monica mountain view forever.
But okay, so you listed it at the beginning of the year. Now this hits. Did you and the seller talk about, did you guys take it off the market? What happened to this property in your strategy when the stay-at-home came about?
I don't necessarily know if you need to take anything off the market. You know, a lot of people, when you start to get into the negotiation, they talk about days on market, talk about price per foot, stuff like that. But the MLS did something very smart mid-March. They paused days on market. And there are people out there looking. I got a call about this property literally 2 nights ago. They wanted to know if I had a virtual tour, a video, you know, whatever I could provide, floor plans, because there are people out there that have to buy, you know,
Yes.
and there are people that, you know, some people are in the middle of moving when this hit. And there are buyers out there, you know, there are people. I feel like the lower price points and lower, and in our language is a little different than in some other places, but the lower price points, people might be a little skeptical, but then again, mortgage rates are so low right now that, you know, it's like, are you skeptical about the market, but then you can get an amazing deal. So I don't know, you know, there are people out there buying.
I agree. We hear that over and over. A lot of our clients are still showing very safely, and, you know, but they say if you had a motivated buyer, they are motivated right now. So tell us about your next listing, 8491 Harold Way, a view property for $2.2 million. Oh, let me switch, because then there you go. You can see the house that way. It's tucked in the Hollywood Hills behind the Chateau Marmont.
Yeah, so this property, my wife and I, it's interesting. We were talking about $110 million property to $23 million to $2.2 million.
Yes.
My wife and I, who I met at Hilton in Hyland, and we're 2.5 weeks away from having the first ever purebred Hilton and Hyland baby. I met at the office.
Wait, what about the Williams? They had.
Well, they started at Normand.
Oh.
Weren't together,
Okay.
then got together.
Got it.
So this is pure Hilton and Hyland blood running through the baby.
And
Anyway,
baby.
my wife and I will not pass up any opportunity. You know, we're about creating deals, creating momentum. Our first 2 deals of the year were 1.5 million, the first 2. And, you know, then we're talking about 110 million. This property, I met these people, the couple that owns this, in Italy, in Capri this summer. Fantastic designer couple. They do a lot of work in Santa Barbara. They just recently bought a house out in the desert, Palm Springs, moved their parents there. Met them in Capri, started chatting with them. They said, hey, we live in West Hollywood, up in the Hollywood Hills. I said, I live in West Hollywood. How random.
Amazing.
Went to look at the property. Robert Bird, we're trying to get confirmation if he was the architect or just helped the architect build the house. Street to street lot, Harold Way to Carlton. Amazing terraces, beautiful gardens, olive trees, like all these different, you know, fruit trees, citrus trees, 2 different entrances, parking on both sides. I thought this property would sell in the first 2 weeks. You know, you have views, you're walking distance up to Sunset from Sunset Boulevard.
Exactly, Hollywood Hills.
You know, and the property, it has its, you know, it has its pluses and its minuses like every property. I love this house, sitting out on the deck the first time I went over there, just crushing martinis, looking out at the view. And you're like, you see the ocean, you see La Cienega, you see all of West Hollywood, and then you could jump on your bike and ride down to Sunset or walk up the hill if you just happen to have a few too many cocktails.
I love it. I love it. And 2.2 million, it's a steal, especially for that area. And I think
2.2. I love the house. There were approved plans for a master bathroom in this house that expired when they bought it. There, you know, like I said, there are a couple, they didn't need any additional bathrooms. There was also approved plans that expired for a pool. Right here above the garage, there was a little pool deck. What is that? That's, yeah.
Sorry, that's the next one.
Yeah, that's the next one. So anyway, it's a beautiful, beautiful house. If you have somebody, you know, a couple from London, a pied-à-terre buyer, a young guy with you know, sophistication. It's an amazing property.
It looks amazing, and you can't beat that location. Let's also talk about your sales, because you had a sale for $48 million on Gilcrest. When did that go down?
So that was my baby. That was basically the beginning of my career.
Wait, which baby? This is your property baby, not your
Gilcrest. Yeah,
Yes,
that'll be the love of my life. life, you know, besides my wife and the baby coming, Gilchrist was the love of my life. When I first started, I mentored with Brandon Williams, believe it or not. And, you know, one of the things he said is always talk about real estate. So that's what I did. And I met a guy on the golf course. We became friends. And I would talk about real estate. And he'd been looking for a few years with another agent. And I said, you're not going to find what you're looking for, but you're a developer, commercial developer. Why don't you develop a property, sell it, make some money. If you love it, live in it, make some money, and then you can buy whatever you want. So we found this property. I was at the gym. Always talk about real estate.
Always talk about real estate. Wait. What does that mean? Does that mean like when I'm hanging out with friends or I'm at a dinner party, I talk about what everyone's doing in the market? What does that mean to you? Always talk about real estate.
To me, please do not be a used car salesman. You know, there's a lot of people out there, you know, they get into real estate, but they're also a musician who designs shoes, but they got into real estate, and you know, they're always doing this like used car salesman thing. So when I mean talk about real estate, ask people where they live, ask people where they're from, ask people why they bought there, ask people, you know, are you having a, you know, are you thinking about having kids? You just got married. What about schools? What about this? Just start to like develop a conversational relationship with people where you can, you know, kind of like add in a little bit. Oh, I have this property. Oh, I have that. Oh, you know, you just made me think of this. It's how I started my career. I literally was just talking. You know, I went up to Truesdale and Brandon told me, if you want to get rich fast, learn this neighborhood. So I learned the neighborhood. This was in 2012. I learned the neighborhood and I started talking to my neighbor. And he's like, my friend lives in Truesdale. 3 days later, we were in escrow. This particular property, long story long, this property, I was talking to a guy at the gym. I said, oh, I have this guy, he's a friend of mine. He wants to find something. I really want him to develop. And this property used to be terraced, covered in trees. It was James Wood's old property. It was off the market at the time. And the guy at the gym told me, I'm gonna bring it back on soon at this price. Guy had been looking for 2 years, showed him the one property, sold it for $8.5. And then Brandon, myself, him, the architect, the interior designer, which is very important for agents who are working with developers right now. Mm-hmm. You need to make yourself part of the conversation from day one. And the interesting thing about this is everything in here was a creation of Brandon, myself, the developer first and foremost, the architect, the interior designer, the builder, my wife, my next door. You need to get everybody involved in the conversation, because the one thing about development, you never want to apologize for anything. And that's the key. So when somebody walks in, they go, why did you do this? You never want to hear that. So if you want to get a premium for something, you need to think about those things. And the only way to think about those things is to have everybody involved, right? So we worked on this project. Interestingly, everybody said, don't show it during construction. I showed it 3 months before it was finished to an agent from our office from Hilton and Hyland. They brought their buyer when it was finished, and we sold it off market 6 weeks after it was finished.
Amazing. So
yeah, and then it just recently traded again we sold it just north of 40 off market, just traded again off market, I believe around 45.
Wow.
2 years later, yeah.
It's a beautiful stunner of a property. Look at that plot of land. Look at those views. Just insane.
It was insane. It was really kind of the start of, you know, the transition from the white sheetrock box modern to, you know, we used black stained cedar. The ceilings were teak. The walls were concrete board form. You know, the materials, you know, and that's the other thing that you need to start to realize, that people are very educated now. You have Pinterest, you have Instagram, and you as an agent need to be just as educated as your client. Use Pinterest, use Instagram, use all these things, Facebook, to research designers, research architects, know materials, because you have an agent like me who will come in and knock on the walls, feel the stone, kick the
tires.
Yeah, it's like, you know, be smart. And this was the beginning of kind of this whole change in modern architecture, I think, in the Hills. And this was in Beverly Hills, Post Office, in the Crest Streets. We broke the record. I think the record in the neighborhood was 19 million.
Wow. Sold for $48 million.
Yeah.
That's insane. Well, I love that about, always talking real estate and knowing the conversation. I think when you're at a dinner party, what people love to know is, if you don't want to be a used car salesman, talk about celebrity real estate. Everybody wants to know where the CEOs and the executives are living. So if you keep your finger on that pulse, that's a good icebreaker into a real estate conversation.
Yeah, you need to 100% know what's happening. You need to read the trades. Listen, you're a professional, right? As a real estate agent, if this is your career, you're a professional. If a wealthy person is sitting next to their stockbroker asking what options to buy, what stocks to buy, whatever, you have to be educated. Real estate agents sometimes think that they see a show and they're like, oh, while I'm doing other things, I might as well sell real estate.
No.
You need to be part of the conversation. When I started, I was seeing 14 properties every Tuesday, 14 properties every Sunday. Do you know how hard it is to see a property in 14 properties in a 2001 Lincoln LS, which is the car I had when I started, and driving around the hills, as many properties as I could. And then you have to also see them, but you have to retain the information. You have to touch things. You have to feel things. You have to start to meet the top agents in town, which I did. Introduce yourself, find out what they're doing, and really educate yourself, because you're a professional.
Yeah.
And, my one thing is, I always looked at the most expensive real estate when it was open, because that's the market you want to be in. The luxury market is what everybody's striving to be in. So if you go and see a $50 million property, when you first start, you don't have a buyer for that. But you're sitting at Il Posteo on a Friday having a glass of wine at lunch, and you hear somebody next to you say, oh, I've been looking for this, I've been looking for that. Now you're educated. Now you can start the conversation. You know what I mean?
We got a question from Chasing the Deal. Phenomenal beard, but what's the best up and coming area to buy here in Los Angeles? He doesn't say Los Angeles, but I'm going to just say Los Angeles. I have an opinion. What do you think the opinion is?
It's wild because, up and coming areas, everything's been up and coming for so long. Like, the market has been, every single year somebody says, oh, there's a turn coming. There's a turn coming. And then somebody spends $2-3 million in Valley Village, or somebody said, oh, can I buy a place in Crenshaw? And you look on the MLS and it's like $600,000. And up and coming depends on your price range. I think the bargain in LA right now, if you have money, there was a point where everybody got into development, and it was like, you have a little bit of money, you put together a group and you develop, but you don't understand developing, you use bad materials. So if you have money, there are opportunities in the Bird Streets. There's even opportunities in Truesdale to get a brand new house with C- materials.
Yeah.
Put a little money into it and make it fantastic.
I don't know. I would say a lot of people watching this may want to get their first house done. So I would actually say Mid-City, where Apple is going in, is the best opportunity zone right now. Let's play a game. All right. We talked about this property last week. We're going to show it to you again. You're going to guess the price of this property.
Okay.
This property is on Rising Glen.
Do you want to show me something a little harder that I haven't walked through and felt it?
Damn.
Hold on. 7.85 million represented by Revel Real Estate.
You are correct.
Yes.
But it's 7.395 million.
Oh my God.
Chasing the deal wins. Chasing the deal wins. He called it. Okay, next game.
That property actually is a beautiful remodel. They did a really good job. Marcy Hartley in our office sold that, and they did a quick flip on it, and they did do a good job.
They did a great job, and the designer on it is Osklo, we are going to be working with on a new project coming up with Tomer Friedman, and we'll be rolling that out this week. Super excited about it, but off market. Shush. Okay, so Jesse, last thing, we ask you one question from the question box. It's random. What has been the most challenging thing about your wife being pregnant during the COVID-19 crisis? These are random questions.
God, the most challenging thing about having somebody pregnant is really the fear. You know, it's funny because I've always been the type of person, when you go to the gym, if you're not going to shower, you wash your hands. If you go to dinner, somebody shakes your hand, you go to the bathroom, wash your hands before you eat. That's how I've always been. But you know, this is going so fast, and you go out in the street, you go to Whole Foods, everybody has masks and ski goggles, and you know, it's just, there's a lot of fear. And then we're having the baby at Cedars-Sinai. They just decided to not allow, well, the beginning of March, no guests, no visitors, no parents, whatever. Now the father's not allowed to go into postpartum. So it's delivery, hold the baby, get the hell out of Cedars. And I believe New York is not even allowing the support person to be in the room with the mom during delivery. So all those things you start to think about, and then you think like, you know, do I want somebody, you know, a family member holding the baby if they haven't been in quarantine? And there's just a lot of fear out there. And I don't think watching the news helps, but I watch the news all day long. It's probably why I start drinking at noon every single day.
Well, listen, don't watch the news. The good stuff will bubble up to the top. It's too much.
Yeah.
I love you, Jesse. Hang in there. Give Michelle my best. I know she's due in 2 weeks, and just let her know that we're thinking about her. It's going to be just okay, and we'll all see the baby in a few months when
I'll
he can
hold
open
it
his
up like
eyes.
this.
Yeah, hold the baby up to the camera. We'll have you back on, and you can show us your boy, right?
Girl.
Your girl. Even
You're
better.
50-50. You had a 50-50 chance.
Yeah.
Baby girl.
Well, congratulations, Jesse. Everyone, follow at Jesse Lally to get more on his Instagram. These properties will be available on our Instagram today, and we'll also repost the episode because we aren't having technical difficulties on our IGTV. Thank you, Jesse.
Thank you.
I'll see you soon.
Good luck to everybody. Stay safe.
Bye-bye.
Bye.